New York City is famous for comedy. But what is comedy? Who decides what's funny? And why does it matter?
I have a mustache. You're welcome, sir. I think comedy is incredibly important. The ability to laugh at oneself is very important. Dude, people comment on my mustache all the time. It's like never anyone I ever want to talk to. You know, it's always a guy exactly like me.
Funny is whatever makes people laugh. It's subjective.
It's called a sense of humor. It's a sense, like taste. Like you like salty food, you don't like salty food.
Humor gives us license to go places where when we're serious we can't go. It gives us license to make fun of ourselves and each other.
And when you laugh, something in you says, oh, that's true.
Here in Athens in the 5th century BC, some of the earliest and most influential comedic plays were written by Aristophanes.
He became the representative, the face, the personification of ancient comedy. He says the things that we wouldn't dare to say. He was ruthless and he was daring.
The σιρήνη να κλείσουν πει να κάνουμε αποχή από το πέος.
In 411 BC, Aristophanes wrote Lysistrata, perhaps the world's first anti-war play.
Aristophanes wrote Lysistrata during the Peloponnesian War. The Athenian society is divided. There are those who want the war and those who do not want the war. Aristophanes takes a position against the war.
In Lysistrata and other plays like The Knights and the Babylonians, Aristophanes used humor to criticize the hawkish Athenian leader Cleon.
He's not named, but there are many allusions within the text that everyone in Athens would recognize.
Aristophanes was brought to court multiple times to prevent his mockery, but with little success.
Humor is very important because it provides some space to say something and at the same time say, I was joking.
You could say things in satire that you could otherwise never say because it's about something else, but you know what it's referring to.
Nobody's above mockery. I think it's something that, you know, sometimes can be distasteful, sometimes can make you angry, but satire that doesn't bite might not be great satire.
Today, the limits of what is appropriate in comedy is hotly debated as comedians observe the world around them. How much should they consider the feelings of their audience as they develop new material?
For someone to say something should never be said, no matter the context, is insane to me. Just be funny. Don't use an excuse, oh, you can't say this, I can't say that, people are too sensitive. Find a way to make it funny. Be funny. And the only way to be funny is to fail. And the only way to fail is to try. And the only way to try with comedy is to say it into a microphone in front of a group full of people. And like, dude, if your kid is like gay, trans, non-binary, love your kid, support your kid, protect your kid. Do whatever you can to take care of your kid. But if you're like a parent and you're actively bragging on social media about your like non-binary 1-year-old toddler, well, it's kind of like having a vegan dog, you know? It's like, we all know who's making that decision, and it's not the kid. You know? It's a pretty time-tested system. It's worked for a lot of years. You say something, you don't get a response, you say it different the next time.
It's the comedian's job to find the line, cross it, and make the audience happy that you did that. Comedy, by the way, the only art form where the audience sees a work in progress. No conductor is like in the middle of a concert and like, what do you think of this key? Do you think we should change? No.
People think they know where wisdom's going to come from, and we are wrong time and time again on where it will come from. I mean, who could have guessed that Lenny Bruce, the great comedian, who was just dismissed as a potty mouth, could be so influential to society even to this day?
Comedian Lenny Bruce was arrested multiple times in the 1960s for saying things during shows deemed obscene or inappropriate.
What is appropriate? The real question is, who decides what is appropriate? Is the government going to decide what's appropriate? Is the dean of the college going to decide what's appropriate?
In recent years, some comedians have come to view college campus audiences as hostile. Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock, among others, make a point of not performing at colleges.
People have the right to be offended. They don't have the opposite right to not be offended. I think that is being questioned because I'm offended has become an argument for shut up.
It was like a notable example, like Nimesh Patel was at Columbia and they canceled his show in the middle of a joke that he was telling. It had themes about being black and being gay, but the whole obvious point of the joke was extremely anti-bigoted and making fun of bigots.
I was like, oh, this is how I figured out that being gay can't be a choice. Because no one would choose to be gay if they're already black. No one's doubling down on hardship. No black dude ever wakes up, looks in the mirror and thinks, you know what, this black shit, too easy.
It was like a small group of kids, and they didn't even understand what he was saying, and the people around them were so intimidated to stand up to them that they were able to stop the show.
Ready?
Yes.
Why?
Thank you so much.
Whoa. I have 30 minutes left.
Yeah, there's a change of program.
Why? Is it because I'm talking about uncomfortable stuff?
I just don't think you're entitled to certain jokes you're making.
Political correctness is something that started as this awareness of how our prejudices are being entrenched within language, within images, and a critical understanding of those. And that's very important. But then it becomes a prescriptive ban on addressing certain issues or laughing in certain ways, and it goes too far.
Any society, of course, has boundaries of what's just too rude to talk about. And that's how society works, and it should be. But if you're asking where we need more space in American society right now, the direction we need to go is not more constraints on things that you are socially allowed to say, tell jokes about. We need fewer constraints. We need to ease up a bit, let people make mistakes, let people play with ideas, let them laugh at each other, let them laugh at themselves a bit. Because without that kind of humor, without that kind of comedy, sometimes pushing the boundaries in ways that make us think a little bit harder, without that, I just think we become poorer.
Comedy fosters discourse. Half the TV shows I watched when I was a kid would never be on television. Can you imagine pitching All in the Family to a network?
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Norman Lear always says that before All in the Family, the biggest problem that someone would have on a sitcom was, oh no, the boss is coming over for dinner and the roast is ruined. And then here comes All in the Family.
You are a meathead. What did you call me? A meathead, dead from the neck up. Meathead.
Now you can turn on the TV and you can see people talking about what you talk about at the dinner table and fighting about what you fight about, and you can really empathize with this family.
I'm a draft dodger.
What did he say?
He said he was a draft dodger.
They're talking about gender, homosexuality, they're talking about race.
They're always telling me I'm prejudiced. Now listen, you're a guy been around a lot. You've seen a lot of people, you know a lot, see? Yeah. Now you look at me. You figure me for prejudiced kind?
If you were prejudiced, you'd walk around thinking that you're better than anybody else in the world. But I can honestly say, having spent these marvelous moments with you, you ain't better than anybody.
CBS, in order to protect themselves, aired a disclaimer before the first episode aired. It was a way of CBS distancing themselves from the material so that people wouldn't boycott the network forevermore. And I asked Norman, what made you take that risk? And he always just said, again, very modestly, I wanted this show to talk about real life and reflect real life. And this is what goes on in real life. There are gay people. There are women who want rights. There are black people living in your neighborhood or who want to live in your neighborhood and who are being kept from it. These are stories. These are story opportunities.
Jefferson, would you care to step outside? I'm ready. Good. Then step outside. I'm going to bed.
I hate that idea of like punching down, punching up. Punch whichever way you want. I don't care. Just make your punches funny. Everyone's going to be offended. Everyone's going to be upset. People are going to pick things apart. And if I worry about it, is that going to stop them? No.
The best comedy lives on the edge of what is acceptable. A joke is a buildup of tension and then a release. It's a surprise. And it's powerful.
What do you think? Should anything be off limits in comedy?